Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Julie Chrisley's resentencing court date has been set. Julie Chrisley has officially received a date for her resentencing hearing. Her previous sentence for tax evasion and bank fraud was vacated last month, and the Chrisley Knows Best star has been waiting in limbo to figure out what's next. Here is what has been revealed. When will Julie Chrisley be resentenced? A federal judge scheduled Julie Chrisley's new hearing date for September 25. The hearing will occur in the federal court building in downtown Atlanta. The appeals court vacated the Chrisley Knows Best star's sentence last month. At the same time, they decided to uphold Todd Chrisley's sentence. He is currently serving 12 years in a federal prison located in Florida. Julie was sent to a prison in Lexington, Kentucky. Todd and Julie Chrisley, along with their accountant Peter Tarantino, were found guilty of conspiring to defraud banks and the IRS. They are said to have lied about their net worth to receive millions of dollars in loans from small banks. Combined, the trio is set to serve 15 years in prison. Channel 2 Action News was the first to start investigating the Chrisleys in 2017. The outlet learned that Todd Chrisley was allegedly evading state income taxes in Georgia. Then, a year later, court documents showed that the Chrisleys actually owed around $800,000 in tax liens. Initially, Todd and Julie were sentenced to a combined 19 years, 12 years for Todd and 7 for Julie. However, their sentences were reduced in September 2023. Now, this September, Julie Chrisley will receive a new sentence. Could Julie be released from prison before the holidays? Their daughter, Savannah Chrisley, has been holding out hope that her mom might be home for the holidays. Many people think Savannah is being delusional in thinking that her mom would be home that soon. Others hope that Julie Chrisley is released on the day of her resentencing, which could technically be possible. One person on Reddit did some quick math and pointed out that she may receive 3 years off her original sentence. Julie got 7 years, 3 of those years were for fraud. If those are removed, then it's 4 years with her good behavior, 16 months off, Sept will be 21 months could be done, they wrote. I do not know the exact times for good behavior, but Fed is 80%. Several other people wondered about the restitution the Chrisleys were ordered to pay. It is possible that if the restitution is paid, Julie Chrisley could be looking at an early release, especially with good behavior. Another person suggested that it could equal no time off her prison sentence and simply an adjustment to the restitution order. Always possible the judge could shave a little time off just as a mea culpa, but I really do not expect a significant change in her current living situation unless the prosecutors suddenly have a massive change of heart. The courtroom stood as a somber monument to justice, a place where dreams were judged, reputations shattered, and sometimes redemption was earned. For Julie Chrisley, the latter seemed like a distant, unreachable hope. Now, with her resentencing court date set, the saga that had gripped the public was once again thrust into the spotlight. A woman who had once portrayed the epitome of Southern grace on her reality show, Chrisley Knows Best, was about to face the legal consequences of a much darker narrative. The scandal, whispered about in the tabloids and dissected on social media, had left the Chrisley name tarnished in ways once unimaginable. Julie, alongside her husband Todd, had once lived a life of luxury and charm, filled with designer clothes, opulent mansions, and family dinners that seemed too perfect to be true. They had made their fortune portraying the perfect family, but as the layers of their public personas peeled away, the truth of financial misdeeds emerged. Tax fraud, evasion, and deceit lurking behind the veneer of Southern hospitality. Julie's initial sentencing had been a media spectacle. The courtroom was packed with reporters, their cameras poised to capture every tear, every anguished glance. It was the stuff of reality television, but this time there were no producers to yell "cut," no editing to soften the blow. The Chrisleys were convicted, and Julie's life, once defined by material wealth, now carried the weight of a lengthy prison sentence. But even then, the legal wrangling had not been fully settled. The question of resentencing loomed like a storm cloud on the horizon. As the date for her resentencing approached, Julie found herself at a crossroads. The woman who had been America's favorite Southern mom now faced a different kind of role, defendant. Unlike the glamorous days spent filming with her family, this was a role she had never wanted to play. The courtroom was no longer a stage, but a place where her fate would be determined by the cold, unflinching eyes of the law. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with tension. Lawyers prepared their cases, stacks of legal documents lining the tables. Julie, dressed in a muted, somber suit, no longer wore the signature look of confidence she had once flaunted in front of the cameras. Her eyes, once full of sparkle, now bore the weight of months behind bars and the uncertainty of what was to come. Every movement felt measured, every breath shallow, as if she were already bracing for the final verdict. The prosecution entered the room, stern-faced and resolute. For them, this was a second chance to reinforce their message, that no one, no matter how wealthy or famous, was above the law. The Chrisleys' extravagant lifestyle had been built on the backs of financial deceit, and justice had to be served. The resentencing was not merely a formality, it was a chance for the legal system to make a statement. Julie's defense team, on the other hand, had one mission: to humanize the woman sitting before the judge. They painted a picture of a wife and mother who had been swept up in a situation spiraling out of control, a woman who had trusted her husband's financial decisions without truly understanding the full scope of their legal ramifications. They spoke of her role in the community, her devotion to her children, and the good deeds she had done in quieter moments away from the cameras. Would this portrayal of a woman seeking redemption resonate, or would the court see it as another performance? The public, too, had opinions. Social media was rife with debates. Some believed Julie deserved every second of her sentence, arguing that her wealth and fame had shielded her from reality for too long. Others felt sympathy, seeing her as a woman caught in the web of a much larger issue, her life spiraling into chaos because of poor decisions made in the pursuit of an unattainable image. In the court of public opinion, the lines were drawn. As the judge entered the room, the atmosphere grew even heavier. The gravity of the moment was palpable. Julie's family, who had supported her through every step of the trial, sat quietly in the back of the courtroom. They knew the stakes, understood the ramifications of what might happen next. For all the drama that had played out on their show, this was real. And reality, as they were quickly learning, was far harsher than anything scripted. The judge's voice echoed through the chamber, signaling the beginning of the proceedings. The resentencing had been set not as a result of new evidence, but because of legal technicalities that required reconsideration. Still, this was Julie's final chance to make her case, to explain, to apologize, to beg for leniency. It was a moment both terrifying and hopeful, her last shot at a semblance of redemption. As the defense spoke, Julie's heart pounded in her chest. Every word, every piece of evidence, every plea for mercy felt like a lifeline. Her family's faces flickered in her mind, her children, her husband. She thought of the future she still longed to have, the possibility of rebuilding a life that had been shattered, but the past loomed large, its shadow darkening the courtroom. When the prosecution took the floor, their words were sharp and decisive. They recounted the crimes, the deceit, the lavish lifestyle funded by fraudulent activities. There was no room for sympathy, they argued. Julie Chrisley was as much to blame as anyone else in the Chrisley empire. The law demanded justice, and it was their job to ensure that justice was delivered without compromise. As the hours passed, the tension in the room mounted. Every eye was on the judge, waiting for the final decision. Julie's fate hung in the balance, suspended between her past actions and the possibility of a second chance. When the judge finally spoke, the courtroom held its breath. Julie Chrisley's resentencing was no longer a mere date on a calendar. It was a defining moment in her life, a turning point that would determine the future of a woman who had once seemed to have it all. Now, as the final words were spoken, she realized that no matter the outcome, nothing would ever be the same. The scales of justice had weighed her story, and all that was left was to face the consequences, whatever they may be.